This is the inside of the Adria Adora DL Seine. If I firstly move to the main control panel, I can turn the 12 volt on just by pressing the button just here. You will get an illumination just here if you are connected to mains electricity. If I now rotate to the left, it will give you a condition of the leisure battery. If I now go back to the center and then rotate to the right, I can turn the water pump on just here by pressing the button, and then the water pump symbol will appear. We need the water pump on so we can get water out of the taps and fill the boiler if it's been drained down. We do not have an onboard water tank, so we do not need to worry about any of this part. If I now move across to the ALD control panel, we turn it on and off just on this button here. On initial startup, it will let you know if you have main supply up here, and it will then give you an internal temperature and an external temperature of the caravan. If I now press the menu button, it will then bring up its basic functions. So at the top here we have the thermostat for the heating, just literally plus and minus to pick whatever temperature you would like it to be inside the caravan. It will drop all the way down to 5 degrees for frost protection and go all the way up to 30 degrees. Next we have a little picture of a shower head, and this is hot water. So currently hot water off, hot water on, and then hot water on boost. If you do perform the boost and the heating's running, it will turn the heating off as it needs that extra power. The boost facility is extremely handy if there's going to be more than one of you having showers in quick succession of each other, or if you just want hot water extremely quickly. So even though now I'll put the heating on to 25 degrees and I've turned the hot water on, the system hasn't actually fired up yet because we haven't given it a power source. So if we're hooked up to mains electricity, we can then run the system on main supply, and that's what this little lightning strike is here. So you'll see at the moment we're on off. If I now press plus, I can now turn the system on, and we're now using main supply using 1 kilowatt. If I press it again, we can use 2 kilowatts, and if I press it for a third time, we can use 3 kilowatts. So this is just dependent on the amperage of the site you're on to try and avoid tripping. If we don't have any mains connected, we can highlight the little picture of the flame, and we can then run on gas. If we have both power sources available to us, we can run in dual fuel, and it will only consume gas as it's required. If we now move across to the little picture of the cog, this is the settings menu. So within this we have a moon and a sun, so we have a night mode and a day mode, so basically like timers. So turn the night mode on and off just here. Select the temperature you would like it to be for that period, and then set when you would like night mode to begin, whether it's for all days of the week or just individual, and then when you would like night mode to end. We can invert the backlight if we want to, so the screen goes from this grey white colour to black and the writing goes to white. And we can also tell the boiler that we don't want any hot water made for that period. Very handy, especially if you're wild camping, to avoid wasting gas heating hot water whilst you're asleep. And then we have exactly the same again, but just for the daytime. Prioritise is what the system prioritises in using when in that dual fuel mode. So at the moment it favours main supply over gas. If you were on an extremely low amp site, you can flip it on its head so it's consuming more gas and less electric. This one here is just literally the brightness of the screen, and you could invert the backlight all the time if you wanted to. This is for the room temperature sensor. Just literally just leave it set in auto. Obviously, if you're going to be using the night mode and the day mode timers, you will need to set the correct time and day of the week, etc. just in here. All of these ones can really only be accessed by the workshop themselves. This one here can be activated, which I'll show you in a moment. This one is called antimicrobial. If you are going to use this, you do have to have night mode set. And then what will happen is, during the middle of the night, the boiler will come on and rapidly heat itself up to kill off any bacteria that may be in it. Temperature offset for both internal and external thermostats. So if you don't think they're quite right, you can just slightly adjust them. High altitude mode just here. So if you are using the caravan 1,000 meters and above sea level, just pop this on to make it run efficiently at that different air pressure. Key beeps on and off. Instead of having multiple timers, you can just literally have one delayed start and stop to the system. Pump settings for the heating, just literally leave them set to thermal, or otherwise if you put it onto continuous, the fluid will just continually run around the radiators for no reason. Full factory reset, so if there is a problem with the control panel, you can just reset it. External start. Within this system it can be controlled via an app, but you do have to have the iNet box fitted for this. Language, service, again more for the workshop, but it will let you know what everything is up to. Installed accessories. So this one here, if I now tick it, can be useful, and if I now arrow back up again, you'll now see we can access it. This one here is the load monitor. So if you know how many amps the site that you're on is, you can pick it on here. So let's say we're on a relatively low 8 amp site. It doesn't actually matter now that I've popped it onto 3 kilowatts. It will now limit itself to avoid tripping. And anything that is an advanced feature, we can now access it just here, and I can up it or down or turn it off. If we now come to the bench seat just here and I remove the cushions, if I now lift up, we can see the back of the battery box just here. We then also have the control board for the Power Touch motor mover just there. And now if I just drop this section down, we have the 12 volt fuses just there. So if anything's not working on 12 volt, just check to see whether or not you've blown a fuse. And then we have all of the battery charger just here. Also, just tucked down here, we have the pressure switch for the submersible pump. So if you do find that it's massively overrunning, you can slightly adjust it just on the top here. Never twist it around violently, or otherwise you will throw it completely out of sync. It is just tiny little fine movements if it does need to be adjusted. There is also a lever here, and you will find a few more around the caravan which I will show you later on in the video. These are used in conjunction with draining the water system down for winterization. It's just a matter of lifting them up, and this will aid in releasing any airlocks in the system and draining all the water out of the pipework. If we now come across to the other bench seat, underneath this one we literally just have the back of the wet locker and then just storage. We have the Adria media controller just here. So to link the media controller up to your device, all you need to do is turn it on just here, go into your device's Bluetooth settings and then search for new devices. This will then come up on your device's Adria, connect up to it, and then you will be able to either stream live music through it or alternatively played anything that is stored on your device through it. We then have the microwave just here. So this will work when the caravan is connected to mains electricity. You can see it's just plugged in there. We then have quick start, stop just here, power settings, eco mode, etc. just there, defrost, all the normal stuff you would find on most modern microwaves. Beneath that we then have the 3 gas rings, and to operate these just push in, twist and push the igniter. Beneath that is then the oven and the grill. Again, just push in to the left and then push the igniter just here. And then the oven at the bottom. Underneath here we have 2 gas isolation taps for the hob and the cooker. They're both in the on position, and quite frankly all the gas isolation taps within the caravan can stay on. I always say they are more for maintenance than anything else. If you do smell gas in the caravan, go to the source and turn the gas bottle off. The Thetford fridge freezer just here, so on and off just here. If I now hold this button in, you'll see that this begins to flash and we can use the arrows to select what we would like. This is an automatic fridge freezer, so as long as you put it on the A for auto, so if I now select that, move across to the temperature control, select that. So now you'll see we're on A for automatic, and because we're hooked up to mains supply, it's put us onto mains with a little picture of the 2-pin plug just here. If I was now to run outside and pull the mains lead out, it would then automatically attempt to fire itself up onto gas, and as soon as we hitch up to a tow vehicle, it would then automatically switch itself over to 12 volt maintain to keep the fridge cold whilst on the move. We can take it out of auto, again just by holding the button in just here. So I could manually put it onto mains, I can manually put it onto 12 volt maintain, and I can manually put it onto gas. If there is a problem with the unit in any way, it will flash at you and you will get a red light just here. The reason it's flashing at the moment is because I've now selected 12 volt maintain and we are not connected up to a tow vehicle. But really, automatic is the easiest function to have it on. We then have the freezer box at the top. Storage above. And below you can also see the gas isolation tap for the fridge just here, and another 2 drain taps for when fully winterizing the caravan just here. And you can also see one of the speakers for the media system. TV bracket just here, so you can see that we have 2 USB charge points. We then have a main socket, a 12 volt socket, and the aerial fly lead in. Attach your TV to the back of the bracket. To release it, just lift up and it can then swing out. Wardrobe just here. We also have in here the solar panel regulator. We don't need to do anything with this, it will just charge the leisure battery as it is required. Also in here is the header tank for the Aldi heating system. Just make sure that the fluid level is between the minimum and the maximum. Only take your reading once it is up to temperature, as the fluid will expand in the tank. If you do need to top it up, you can do this yourself if you wish. Just make sure that you are using the correct Aldi top-up solution. And to do this, just remove the collar just here and then unscrew the cap just here and remove the little pump and then top it up. Also in here is the television aerial. So the digital amplifier for it is just here, on and off, just up here, and then control the boost on this dial just here. This particular amplifier has a signal finder in it, so as long as it's nice and green, you know you've got a very good signal. To raise the aerial up, loosen off here and here, and then push it up. This little green window here represents the back of the aerial, so you know which way the point is facing. You'll see it says H at the moment, which stands for horizontal. We can flip the aerial onto its side in the vertical position for additional tuning if required, and the way we do this is just by turning the tail just here. Do make sure that the aerial is back into the horizontal position for travel, and that the aerial is down and the red dot is facing you. Try to avoid over tightening these collars, because you can split them if they are done up too tight. Beneath it, again, we have a little bit of storage, and we also have the gas isolation tap for the boiler itself. The boiler sits just behind this section just here. If we now come to the single bed and we just lift up, you'll see just tucked down here another grey lever for draining the caravan down when fully winterising it. And then we have the yellow one just here, which is the main drain valve for the boiler itself. So to drain the boiler down for travel or winterisation, firstly make sure the water pump is turned off, and then flip the lever up just here, and it will then begin to drop all the water out of the boiler. If you are just draining the boiler down for travel, this is all you need to do. If you are going to be fully winterising the caravan, make sure that you flap this up, and then you go around and lift up all of these grey levers as well, because it will help to release any airlocks in the system. You can also go round the whole of the caravan and open up all the taps as well, because again this will help release any airlocks. When it comes to refilling the boiler back up again, make sure all the taps are closed like so. Make sure that all the grey levers are also down and that the yellow lever is back into the position it is now. Fill up the aqua roll, drop in the submersible, come into the caravan, turn the 12 volt on, and then the water pump, and it will then begin to prime the boiler. After a few minutes, begin opening up the taps. They'll cough, they'll splutter as they force the air out of the system. Wait until the water is running freely on both hot and cold, and then close, and then the system will fully reprime itself. We then have the other single bed, and as you can see underneath here we have plenty of storage again. We can also see another one of the speakers for the media center. The freestanding table is just located here, and then tucked at the back just here are the main strip switches. So virtually the same as what you would find in your house. So you have the individual MCBs, you then have the main RCD and the test button as well. So if anything's not working on main supply, just check to see if you've tripped. We then have the washroom right at the back of the caravan. So we have the shower cubicle just here. Do make sure that the shower screen is secure for travel. We then have the basin. And then we also have the toilet. So to open to the cassette, just slide the grey lever across like so. Push to flush on the top. And then close back up again. If this has been left open and you try to remove the cassette from the outside, it will not come out. So if you do feel resistance, just make sure that nobody's left it open. Level indicator just here, so it will illuminate to let you know when the cassette needs emptying. And then we have plenty of storage in here. The front bed is nice and easy to make. It is just a matter of pulling the sections across and then dropping the backrests into position. The table can be dropped out of the way just by popping across and then dropping down. The top lighting can be dimmed, so if I firstly just turn it on and off on the switch, as you can see, if you then hold the switch in, you can see you can dim it down and dim it back up again.